10 years into a sexless marriage, I got pregnant. 10 years ago, Eric was forced to marry me. 10 years later, we finally got divorced. But just as I was about to leave with the baby, he dropped to his knees, eyes red, and begged me not to go. 1. Cloudview 10 miles, Jiangqing's most luxurious neighborhood for the wealthy. Over the 10 years I was married to Eric, the houses we lived in kept getting more expensive. I, once just a regular teacher named Nicole, had become the well-known Mrs. Ferguson in elite circles. The entire villa was dark. I sat on the living room couch, waiting for a husband who never came home before midnight. My heart felt numb. Yes, Eric and I had lived separately since our wedding night. In the full 10 years of marriage, our only interaction was the brief moment each morning when I got up before dawn to make breakfast and caught a glimpse of him. That was it. As the clock ticked past midnight, I heard a key turning in the lock. Eric switched on the light and was startled to see me. Maybe he was surprised because it was the first time in years the house wasn't lit for him. Maybe he was surprised that I was actually waiting. Back when we first got married, I used to wait for him too. All it got me was him coldly telling me that if I kept waiting up, he'd stop coming back altogether. All my attempts to please him only earned me the privilege of sharing breakfast with him. "You're still up." "I told you not to wait for me," Eric said in that same detached tone he always used. "I want a divorce." Saying it felt like something had been sucked out of me, like a boulder that had pressed on my chest for years had finally been lifted. I felt hollow, and strangely relieved. "I don't have time to play games with you." Yeah. Who would believe that the woman who had once been so desperate to marry him was now serious about ending it? "I'm not joking. I mean it. I want a divorce." "Is it because the Fergusons are investing in Wendy's new film?" Eric frowned. "I owe Wendy. Before we got married, I told you, I'd marry you and stay faithful, but I'd also make it up to her." Eric sat across from me, staring like I was a child throwing a tantrum. "You owe her." "I don't. I want a divorce, and it has nothing to do with anyone else." I kept my voice calm and expressionless. Eric seemed to realize I was serious this time. He let out a sigh. "My parents won't agree." "Yeah, well. A big reason I was able to marry Eric in the first place was because of his parents. They had watched me grow up and never approved of Wendy, who was nothing more than a pretty orphan in their eyes. They will, if they find out we haven't shared a bed in 10 years. "You're doing this because of that." He didn't even finish his sentence before I cut him off. "I'm pregnant. Too." The next morning when I came downstairs, Eric was still sitting on the couch, wearing the same clothes as last night. He looked like he'd been up all night. For the first time in 10 years, I hadn't gotten up early to make breakfast. Eric looked at me with a complicated expression. "Whose is it?" "Sebastian's." He looked exhausted, voice hoarse. I gave a cold laugh. "Sebastian is Wendy's husband. Not everyone's into someone else's man." "Then whose is it?" His voice was tense, restrained. "I don't know. It was just one night. I don't even know who it was." I said it like it was nothing. "You'd degrade yourself like that? Just to get back at me? Do you even realize what you're doing? You?" Eric stared at me in disbelief. It was rare for him to get this emotional. The veins on his forehead bulged. "Eric, I'm just tired. I'm not trying to get back at anyone. The baby is mine. I'm keeping it. After we divorce, you can be single, or you can get back together with Wendy, whatever you want. It has nothing to do with me. Whether we settle it through a mutual agreement or a lawsuit, I've made up my mind. I don't want a cent from the Fergusons. The inheritance my parents left me is more than enough for the rest of my life. It's been 10 years. This mistake of a marriage should end already." Eric stared at me like he was really seeing me for the first time, but I couldn't tell what he was thinking. "You've really thought it through?" "Yes," I said without hesitation. After a long pause, Eric finally said, "All right. I'll arrange a lawyer." You'll get half of our marital assets. Okay. A single mom going through a divorce had no reason to say no to a generous settlement. 3. The first people to find out Eric and I were getting divorced were his parents, my father and mother-in-law. They were the ones, aside from my own parents, who treated me the best in this world. They'd watched me grow up since I was a child. In a way, Eric and I were childhood sweethearts. Our families used to be neighbors. Back then, the Fergusons' business wasn't that big, but they were constantly busy, always on the move. Eric was often sent over to our house. My parents were both university professors. My father was a well-known scholar at Jiangqing University. Coming from an academic family and excelling in my studies, I was someone the Fergusons trusted completely, and the two families were very close. Eric practically grew up in my home. And I, as a little girl, loved trailing behind him. Back then, every kid in the neighborhood knew that Eric always had a pretty little shadow following him around. And whenever I was bullied, Eric was always the first to jump in and protect me. When did things start to change? I looked at Eric's parents sitting in front of me. Over the past 10 years, they weren't unaware of how coldly Eric treated me. They tried many times to talk sense into him, urging him to be a good husband. Even though we didn't have children, they never blamed me, not knowing the real reason behind it. If there was still any warmth left in this marriage, it was thanks to these two people who treated me like their own daughter. Sweetie, Eric told us you're getting divorced. Did that boy mistreat you? Tell us the truth, we'll set him straight. Divorce isn't something we take lightly. In our Ferguson family, we only recognize you as our daughter-in-law. Is it that woman Wendy again? She already caused trouble back when you two almost broke off the engagement. Now she's married and still stirring things up. The Sebastian family is respectable, yet she's still out acting and showing off. Sweetie, we're on your side. Don't forget, your parents died saving Eric. If he dares divorce you, we'd rather not have him as a son. My eyes welled up with tears as their concerned words echoed in my ears. Compared to the always aloof Eric, his parents had always showered me with affection. Eric even used to joke that they liked me more than him and should just make me their daughter. After my parents passed away saving Eric, the Fergusons told me they would be my parents from then on. Over the years, they'd shown me more love than Eric ever did. Dad, Mom, I'm the one who wants the divorce. It's not Eric's fault. Eric was forced to marry me all those years. He's been unhappy, and I've been exhausted. I want to let go. I'm pregnant. The child isn't Eric's. In the 10 years we've been married, he never once touched me. Dad, Mom. I'm sorry, but I can't be your daughter-in-law anymore. Tears finally fell from my eyes. I didn't cry when I asked Eric for a divorce. Not when I found out I was pregnant. Not even during those 10 years when I knew Eric and Wendy were still entangled, when Eric was backing Wendy's career in the entertainment world. But facing these two kind, loving people, I broke down completely. They looked like they'd been struck by lightning, stunned into silence. After all, it wasn't just Eric and me who were hurt by this marriage. 4. The divorce process went smoothly. Both Eric and his parents insisted I take half of the shared assets. His parents even told me I would always be their daughter. Sweetie, it's our Ferguson family that owes you. If you don't want a divorce, we'll consider the child part of the Ferguson family. But if you do divorce, you'll always be our daughter. Their words echoed in my mind. Growing up, only my parents, Eric, and his parents ever called me sweetie. After my parents passed away, Eric no longer treated me the same, and only his parents still called me that. Their kindness over the years made me feel like maybe this marriage wasn't a complete failure after all. On the day of the divorce, Eric showed up in a black suit and a white shirt. At 35, he was still strikingly handsome. I could still see the traces of the man who once made my heart race. Years of navigating the business world had only made him more charismatic. From now on, Jiangqing had gained another eligible bachelor. I'm moving out of the villa at Yunjian Shirley today. Sabrina will stay behind to look after you. If you run into trouble, come find me. I had to admit, Eric was at least decent. He gave me half of the thriving Ferguson Group's shares, and most of the real estate and other assets. Cold yet still considerate. Maybe that's why I managed to endure 10 years of this distant marriage. Okay. I wanted this divorce. I had already made up my mind to walk away from this decade-long entanglement of love and hurt. But because of Eric's parents, I didn't want things to turn ugly. After all, I was the one who had insisted on marrying him, and now I was the one asking for the divorce. Post-divorce, my life didn't feel out of place at all. Eric had hardly been a part of my day-to-day life. The only difference was, now I wouldn't wake up early to make him breakfast, worried he wasn't eating regularly. Pick out his clothes, shoes, and watch with care every day. Remind his assistant to give him his stomach medication on time. Eric neglected me for 10 years, and I tried everything to squeeze myself into his life for 10 years. All my blind devotion only left me hurt and broken. I couldn't even pinpoint when I stopped loving him. Once, Eric was the only one I loved. After my parents died, I clung to him like a lifeline, desperate to hold on to what little family I had left. But now, I had a child. That child would be the closest family I'd ever have for the rest of my life. 5. Having a child has taken a toll on my health. I'm a year younger than Eric, but at 34, I'm considered an advanced maternal age pregnancy. The severe morning sickness has quickly drained my strength. When I went for my prenatal checkup, my first time seeing Eric since our divorce, he was there with Wendy. I glanced up at the sign that read Obstetrics and Gynecology and felt a bitter laugh inside. Why are you here alone? Where's Sabrina? Eric's cold tone carried a hint of displeasure. Nicole, are you not feeling well either? Wendy, masked, had brows and eyes more refined than 10 years ago. She used to just wear simple shirts and jeans, a former orphan, but now she was dressed in custom couture, no longer timid like before. She was now Mrs. Sebastian, matching the Ferguson family in status, a top celebrity in the entertainment industry. Sebastian is on a business trip. That's why I asked Eric to come with me for the checkup. Don't get the wrong idea, Nicole. Her face was the picture of innocent sincerity. I spoke coldly, don't call me sister. I'm an only child. Now that Eric and I are divorced, you have even less reason to pretend we're family. Over these 10 years, Wendy had appeared multiple times in my marriage with Eric, always playing the innocent role. I often felt pain in my chest when Eric defended her, but now, looking at them, I felt nothing at all. Turns out, Eric isn't the only one who changes. Wendy was taken aback. She hadn't expected us to be divorced. Nicole, didn't you want to marry Eric the most back then? Why divorce now? Is it because of me? Eric only sees me as a little sister now, and I'm married too. If you mind. I cut her off impatiently. I wanted to marry him before, now I want to divorce. What's wrong with that? Eric liked me before, now he likes you. As for you, I didn't marry for you, nor am I divorcing for you. Do you think marrying means you still have any connection to Eric? Though I no longer loved Eric, I still hated Wendy. Without her, maybe Eric and I wouldn't have ended up like this. Wendy looked at Eric with innocent eyes, tears barely falling. Whenever she looked at Eric like that before, he would always protect her. Nicole, Wendy only cares about you. Why are you so hostile? Nicole, the Sebastian family doesn't support Wendy going into entertainment. She's new and bound to get bullied. I'm just helping her. I was the one who abandoned Wendy first, she's innocent too. Nicole, Wendy is timid, don't pick on her. But today, Eric was unusually silent, and embarrassment showed in Wendy's eyes. Eric said, if Sabrina can't come next time, call me. It's not safe for a pregnant woman to come alone. I saw the care he hadn't shown before the marriage, but now that we were divorced, I didn't need it anymore. You're pregnant? That's impossible. Wendy's voice sharpened, clearly shocked. Why impossible? If you can get pregnant, why can't others? I spoke calmly, turning to Eric. No need. I don't have a habit of bringing other men's husbands with me. Wendy's face instantly went pale. I didn't mean that, it's just been so many years without a pregnancy, it's a bit sudden. I looked at Wendy and said quietly, it's nothing. The child isn't Eric's. Wendy suddenly lost her voice, Eric's face stiffened, and I smiled slightly before turning and leaving. I laughed silently inside. Did they really think I would love Eric forever? 6. When I came home that evening, Eric was sitting on the couch, his face bruised and swollen. The last time Eric waited for me must have been over 10 years ago. I asked flatly, "What are you doing here?" In the past, even a small scratch on Eric's hand would make me worry for a long time. But now, seeing his badly injured face, I felt nothing. The man I once desperately wanted to marry, I no longer loved him. As for who hurt him, no guesses needed. It had to be Sebastian. He had been accompanying someone else's wife to prenatal checkups. If it weren't for knowing Eric's background, I don't think he could ever take off this green hat. Speaking of Sebastian, he grew up with us. Compared to the well-behaved Eric, Sebastian was notorious for trouble, climbing walls, skipping classes, fighting. The Sebastian family had a strong background, the elder had been a commander. After high school, Sebastian was sent to the army by his family, but later went into business. Luckily, the Sebastian family was wealthy. Now, the Sebastian group even outperformed the Ferguson group. Eric and Sebastian never got along since childhood. Funny enough, they both ended up liking the same woman, Wendy. Many in the circle looked down on Wendy's background, but she had captured the hearts of Jiangqing's two top elites. Background didn't matter anymore. In the end, I married Eric, Sebastian married Wendy, and the two men still didn't get along. Over the years, Wendy appeared in front of Eric often, which Sebastian didn't like. He said I had bad taste in men. Our complicated love and hatred among the four of us muddled on for 10 years. Eric said, "You look awful today. Is something wrong? You're not young anymore, pregnancy has many risks. The Ferguson family has hospitals we cooperate with. It's just normal morning sickness. The checkup showed everything's fine. You never cared before we divorced, and now even less." I sipped the warm milk Sabrina had prepared, not wanting to deal with Eric any longer. Eric was silent for a moment, then asked slowly, "In these 10 years, have you hated me? I was the one who wanted to marry. I have no right to hate." Eric looked at my emotionless face, eyes full of struggle, pain, and confusion. "Nicole, do you regret it?" "Maybe. I tied you down for 10 years. Today, I realize we've all been stuck in this vicious circle for too long. I don't know if I should regret it or blame myself. You married me out of gratitude. You watched Wendy marry Sebastian, neglected me for 10 years, protected her for 10 years. This tangled relationship tires me. Eric, I know I was wrong. If I could start over, I'd want to go back, to the very beginning. My vision blurred. I'd rather have my parents, have family. Then I wouldn't want you anymore. Now I really don't want you. It's not that hard, and it's not that painful. My 10 years were your 10 years. Neither of us won. It's laughable, Eric, I don't want to see you anymore. Or any of you. I accepted the past, but from now on, I'll live well with my child. Don't worry about me. You know, as long as I want to, I'll live well." At the end, I saw tears in Eric's eyes. Yes, 10 years. The proud and radiant woman who once said only I deserved Eric's rose has withered, and the prince who vowed to protect that rose is no longer the same. If I could start over, I really wouldn't love Eric. I wouldn't let him share this prison of love with me. I didn't get the man I loved, and neither did he. 7. The baby's condition was much worse than I had described. The placenta was low-lying, and by less than 3 months, there was bleeding. The doctor advised hospitalization to protect the pregnancy, otherwise, the baby might not survive. The baby was now my only family. I took a year off from work and moved into the hospital with Sabrina, telling her not to tell anyone. At least while I was fighting to keep this baby, I didn't want any more entanglements with anyone else. The first visitor was Sebastian, no surprise, since in Jiangqing there's no one Sebastian can't find. He came straight at me. How did you get yourself into this mess? Wasn't Eric the one you insisted on marrying? I looked worn out. The pregnancy had taken a heavy toll on me. Calmly, I said, "Are you afraid Eric will go back to Wendy? He can if she wants to. But whose child is this?" Sebastian's rebellious smirk stayed the same as ever, that rough charm he always had. Despite his carefree attitude, everyone in Jiangqing knew Sebastian was ruthless in business. No one had ever gotten the better of him. "I don't know. Nicole, do you even know what you're doing? You're having a baby, and you say you don't know who the father is? If I'd known you'd ruin yourself like this, I never should have." Sebastian kicked a chair aside, running his hands through his hair in frustration. "Why are you mad about me having a baby? Wendy's pregnant too. Aren't you afraid that baby might not be yours?" My words made Sebastian flush red with anger. He snapped, "I'm talking to you. What are you going to do about this child?" I answered coolly, "I'll keep it. Eric gave me a lot of money, enough to support the child for generations. But the child won't have a father." Sebastian finally calmed down. "How will you explain that? Some roles can't be replaced by money. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. Maybe you won't be fatherless forever. I'm divorced, not some woman waiting for Eric." Sebastian laughed bitterly. "Nicole, you're something else." 8. Lying in the hospital bed, I thought about why I was so determined to marry Eric in the first place. When I was 5, the Ferguson family moved into the villa next to ours. From then on, Eric was always part of my world. We went to school and came home together every day. My mother always packed 2 lunch boxes, one for me, one for Eric. At 10, I read The Little Prince and cried over the rose left behind. Eric said I was the most beautiful rose, and he would always be the little prince who protected it. By middle school, my desk drawer was filled with love letters from other boys. Each time, Eric would return them and beat up the boys, making it clear I was his childhood sweetheart. No one dared to make a move. In high school, I struggled with math and studied late into the night, sometimes crying quietly from the pressure. Eric always found time to tutor me. When we got into the same university, he was even happier than I was. Everyone saw us as the perfect couple. Our parents had agreed that we would get engaged and married after graduation. Eric never objected. We didn't have grand gestures or declarations of love, but after more than 10 years, our lives were inseparable. My life had always been smooth, until the year Wendy appeared and shattered our bubble of happiness. Wendy was an orphan, a strikingly beautiful one, and our family had been sponsoring her. Our kindness brought her into my life, delivering a fatal blow. Wendy was 3 years younger than me. In my senior year, she had just been admitted to Jiangqing University as our sponsored student. She said it was the first time she ever took a train in her life. At that time, Wendy wore cheap clothes and carried a faded backpack, poor but beautiful. She shyly called me Nicole. I reached out to her, inviting her to stay at my house, buying her pretty dresses, and introducing her to Eric. Wendy was like my little shadow, always calling me Nicole. Eric joked that she was like my childhood shadow following him around. Wendy was smart and beautiful, with excellent grades. With my support, she quickly adapted to life in Jiangqing. Beautiful girls never lack admirers, but Wendy never accepted anyone. I laughed with Eric, wondering which prince could win her heart. Eric always smiled and said she was still young. At some point, the name Wendy shifted to Xiaowei in Eric's words, then back to Wendy. At first, Eric was straightforward and distant, later, polite and gentle, then, utterly doting. When did I first realize something was wrong? It seemed that every date with Eric became a trio instead of a couple. Wendy started calling Eric brother softly, and Eric's gifts for me always included one for Wendy too. While I was busy preparing for graduate school exams, Wendy met Eric alone. Wendy openly told me about their meetings and the reasons for them, which made me uneasy but also unsure if it was truly wrong. Sebastian asked me about Wendy several times, saying Eric and Wendy seemed close. I just smiled and said we all got along well. Wendy was like a sponsored little sister. If Sebastian liked Wendy, he should chase her himself. This always made Sebastian fume. When we were preparing to get engaged, the illusion finally broke. I caught Eric at home, tenderly holding Wendy, her face streaked with tears, begging him not to get engaged and to protect her, a sight that made my protective instincts flare. That day, I slapped Wendy twice in a rage. Eric angrily said it wasn't her fault and took Wendy away. That was the first time my life fell apart. 9. Shortly after Sebastian left, Ferguson's parents also came to see me. Even though Sabrina was there to care for me, they often visited, bringing meals and homemade soup. Eric never showed up, and honestly, I didn't want to see him. Then Wendy came looking for me. I smiled inwardly. Seems like as long as I'm in Jiangcheng, I won't have a peaceful day. Now Wendy was flawless from head to toe, beautiful, capable, and well backed by capital, thriving in the entertainment industry. The first time I met her, her clothes cost less than 100 yuan. Now, each outfit easily cost tens of thousands. No doubt, she had pulled off quite the comeback. She touched her not yet visible belly and smiled charmingly. Nicole, I heard you're here alone, resting to protect the baby. I told Eric to come see you, but he refused no matter what. Wendy, after pretending all these years, aren't you tired? Or maybe, since we're already divorced, do you still need to keep up the act? I really was curious this time. Wendy's expression flickered, then smiled again. Nicole, I really care about you. After I got pregnant, Sebastian's family stopped me from filming and took great care of my belly. I'm always accompanied when I go out, but you're alone. I cut her off coldly. Eric gave me half the family property. Uncle Song and Aunt Song also often visit me. Don't worry, my baby will be born safe and sound. She seemed displeased with my calmness. Nicole, do you really not love Eric anymore? You used to love him so much that you forced him to marry you by threatening Uncle and Aunt's death. Have you really let go? The closer someone is, the better they know exactly where to stab the knife. I don't love Eric anymore, but my parents, who raised and adored me, are gone forever. They died that rainy day, because of Eric. That year, Eric and I had a huge fight. Our engagement was about to break off, and I was restless every day, like I had lost my most treasured possession. For the first time, I blamed the heartless Wendy, even blamed my parents who had sponsored this ungrateful girl. My parents came to find Eric for me. No one knew what they said that night, but on the way home, they rode in Eric's car. The brakes failed. My father pushed Eric out of the driver's seat and sacrificed himself. Mom and Eric both jumped out, but only Eric survived. From that day, it felt like I became an orphan too. Maybe satisfied with my pained expression, Wendy smiled wider. Nicole, this chance you fought so hard for, you're just throwing it away. Uncle and Aunt would probably blame you. I couldn't hide my disgust. Why don't you go ask them yourself? Maybe what they regret most is sponsoring such a heartless, ungrateful person like you. Now that I don't want Eric, why are you still looking for me? Don't tell me you don't really like Eric, you just want what I have. Wendy flushed red but quickly regained composure. She smiled again. Nicole, you were born with everything. How could you understand the pain and struggle of people like us? If I didn't know how to scheme and fight, I wouldn't be where I am today. But Nicole, you had everything. Now, except for the divorce settlement, you have nothing, right? I was once an orphan, but Nicole, now you're one too. On the days Eric didn't come home, he was with me. Nicole, no matter how high and mighty you think you are, you're beneath me now, aren't you? There was a twisted look on her delicate face. I couldn't tell where her hatred truly came from. Before she could finish, Eric's mother stormed in and slapped her hard. You shameless brat, no manners at all. Nicole is our daughter. How dare you talk nonsense? No wonder Sebastian's family hates you. Don't think I don't know what you're up to. If Eric dares hang out with you, we'll pretend he's not our son. Ferguson's family is more than just Eric. You rotten-hearted, ungrateful, worse than animals, raising a dog would be more thankful. The Lin family sponsoring you must be cursed. Pregnant and still scheming, beware of karma. If anything happens to Nicole, I won't forgive you. Eric's mother was a fierce businesswoman. Under her yelling, Wendy retreated step by step, while Eric stood at the door with a grim expression. Wendy looked pale and tearful. Eric, I didn't mean it. I was just worried about Nicole, but she wouldn't listen. I was upset and said things I shouldn't. Sebastian arrived shortly after and slapped Wendy without a word, his face full of anger. I told you not to cause trouble for Nicole. If you don't listen, don't come out again. This time, her two protectors didn't side with her. Sebastian took Wendy away and promised she wouldn't bother me again. 10. Only Eric and I were left in the cold hospital room. He placed a thermos on the table, sat by my bedside, and began peeling an apple, cutting it into small pieces, then handed the plate to me. He had done this countless times when we were kids. I didn't take it and sneered, Eric, since the divorce, I seem to see you even more. Also, I don't like apples anymore. I stopped liking them since he started peeling them for Wendy too. Nicole, I'm really sorry. All these years. I'm sorry. Eric's voice was weak. I looked at him calmly and said, Eric, it's time for you to be free. And me too. My dad wanted to save you, no need to carry that guilt for a lifetime. Eric stubbornly replied, when we got married, I promised to take care of you for life. Divorce or not, I still will. This man who ends things cleanly seemed determined to take care of me no matter what. I spoke slowly, Eric, that night, what did my parents say to you? This question had been buried under our shared silence for years. Let me guess. They were upset seeing me so heartbroken and wanted you to leave Wendy. They kicked Wendy out of the house, then you took her in. They wanted Wendy to leave Jiangcheng, right? You liked her at the time, so you didn't agree. You fought with me and wanted to call off the engagement. Eric's eyes reddened, voice choked, sweetheart. Before he could answer, I pressed on, they loved me so much, they must have been furious. My dad had heart disease, did he have a heart attack from anger? Was his medicine with him? Eric, all these years you ignored me, was it really because of Wendy? Or were you just too afraid to face me? Eric, was my dad's death really an accident? Under my gaze, Eric faltered. His face turned pale, and his body seemed crushed under a heavy weight. Finally, Eric left in a sorry state and never came back. 11. After Wendy caused a scene last time, I started planning to leave Jiangcheng. I didn't trust that my child could be born safely here. If I was going to leave behind all this tangled love and hate, it might as well be a clean break. This city held all my joys and sorrows from the first half of my life. Saying goodbye to the past, leaving seemed like the simplest and most direct way. I organized my assets. The dividends from shares were regularly deposited into my account each year. I started having many of my properties sold through agents. For some large sums of money, I hired a financial manager to handle them. During this financial planning, I saw that man again. Or rather, the father of my child. The child's genes looked pretty good. The man before me had a good appearance and was a somewhat well-known investor. When he saw my 5-month pregnancy that day, I wasn't surprised he found me again. He cautiously chose his words. Miss Nicole, I'm Julian from Dingfeng Investment. I want to ask about this child. I cut him off bluntly. That's none of your business. He continued. That day was your first time, and the timing fits. I spoke calmly. Mr. Julian, whether or not you are the biological father, this child belongs solely to me. That night was just between consenting adults. I believe Mr. Julian is not someone who wants trouble, and this child will have no connection to you in the future. I vaguely recalled that night. Wendy had some trouble, and Eric had gone to solve it. Wendy had thoughtfully sent me photos and thanked me. Over the years, because of Wendy, I had seen every interaction between them live-streamed in my mind. So that night, in a bar full of drunken revelry, I silently drowned my sorrows. I didn't refuse when Julian's hand reached for my waist, nor when he whispered in my ear, "Is it okay? Then, let's destroy it together." When I woke up, I didn't look at the man beside me again, I quietly left. The child was unexpected, but now the only hope I had. Life had to go on, and there had to be something to look forward to. Julian was not deterred by my coldness. "Miss Nicole, I understand your situation. I don't know what went wrong in your marriage with Mr. Song, but since the child is mine, I'm willing to take responsibility. I'm 36, unmarried, and a senior partner at Dingfeng Investment. I know you've inherited considerable wealth, which can be prenatally notarized, and my assets and income can be shared as marital property. I'm from Jiangqing. Both my parents work at Jiangqing Hospital. I hope to have a relationship with you based on marriage. Please believe me, I am sincere." I frowned slightly. "Mr. Julian, as far as I know, this is our first meeting. If it's just for the child, it's not necessary." Julian continued. "Miss Nicole, since we're both unmarried, have a child together, and your conditions match what I expect from a partner, why not give it a try?" I didn't refuse anymore. Actually, what Julian said made sense. Compared to others, at least he was the child's father. Afterwards, Julian gradually invited me out, not overly eager, not distant either, always striking the right balance. No wonder he was a seasoned investor, very skillful at dealing with people. My assets were managed well, and some properties were sold. Julian contributed a lot in this. When I expressed the desire to leave Jiangqing, Julian didn't stop me. He even accompanied me to several prenatal checkups. Honestly, if I were to settle down, someone like him wouldn't be a bad choice. But I wanted to escape the past and live quietly, yet things never went as I wished. 12. The headline, "Mrs. Ferguson caught cheating during marriage, pregnant with lover's child, thrown out," shattered the quiet life I'd had for a month. My child was now 6 months old. The headline showed photos of Julian and me, having meals together, going to prenatal checkups. Though we weren't intimate, the angles were perfectly framed. The timing of my divorce from Eric and the child's age were all exposed. The internet was flooded with accusations that I had cheated on Eric and shamelessly taken half his assets. My school and phone were doxed, with endless calls filled with insults. "She looks so innocent but is so wild. She's a university teacher, don't let kids go to that school, such people aren't fit to teach. I heard her parents are professors, yet they raised such a shameless person. Maybe that's why they died." These vicious attacks came at me from all directions. The only reason news related to the Ferguson family spread so fast was because of Wendy, who had the title of Mrs. Sebastian, many entertainment industry connections, and a grudge against me. Sometimes I wonder if we were cursed from a past life. Even though I married Eric and Wendy had been Mrs. Sebastian for years, with Eric's care for her, why was her hatred for me so deep? But this time, I wasn't going to just stand by. When Eric came, I was sorting through Wendy's files. They included how Wendy accepted financial help from my parents, stole my fiancé, and all the records of her ongoing relationship with Eric, records even Eric didn't know about. For 10 years, every one of their interactions was delivered to me. The carefully selected photos and videos proved their entanglement beyond doubt. Since Wendy wanted to attack me with public opinion, she should prepare for the backlash. All these years, I hadn't made things worse, just wanting to keep the marriage's surface calm. But when Eric meant nothing anymore, what was Wendy to me? In the villa, Eric carefully watched my expression. I found it funny. 10 years of suffering had left me numb. He tentatively said, "The rumors online, don't worry. I'll handle it." I sneered, "How do you plan to handle it? Don't tell me you don't know who's behind this." Eric avoided my gaze and lowered his head. "I'll acknowledge the child is mine. We ended the marriage amicably." I looked at him. "Acknowledge the child's not yours? You really love being the sucker, don't you?" Ignoring my sarcasm, he continued. "If you agree, this child is mine and the only heir of the Ferguson family." I didn't doubt his words. Over the years, Eric never shortchanged me financially. No thanks, Eric. The child is mine and has nothing to do with you. I won't let this go. Whether you help her or not is up to you. I exhaled, suddenly feeling powerless. Why, even if I let go, can't I escape your entanglements? Eric, what did I do wrong? Seeing my despondent expression, guilt and pity flashed in Eric's eyes. He struggled to say, "It's my fault. I was wrong all these years." Before leaving, he said, "I'll give you an explanation." But he didn't understand. I no longer needed his explanation at all. 13. After the evidence of Wendy's involvement with Eric was posted online, the reaction was even more intense than I had expected. Wendy is a top-tier actress, always known for her pure and innocent image, with a huge fan base. But the chat records, clear photos, and videos I released were undeniable proof, no way for her to deny or escape it. For a time, the public backlash against Wendy flooded the entire internet, overshadowing my own scandal completely. Some even sympathized with me for enduring so much humiliation over the years, being trampled by a homewrecker. When Eric publicly admitted the child was his, everyone believed Wendy had forced our marriage apart. Wendy lost many of her advertising deals, and filming projects were put on hold. Sebastian's company covered her breach penalties, but her reputation was completely ruined. Watching her get attacked like a rat running through the streets gave me a sense of satisfaction. Sebastian's company also took a hit from the media storm, with jokes even spreading about Sebastian himself stepping in as a savior. When Sebastian called me, I was scrolling through online posts. Perhaps because of Eric's intervention, the rumors about me had calmed down, barely making waves. Sebastian didn't question me, only asked, "Nicole, have you calmed down yet?" I couldn't help but laugh bitterly. His wife was cyberbullying me, yet he asks if I'm calm. Sebastian, don't you know who caused all this mess? Or did you not realize I took action against Wendy? He chuckled lightly, casually replying, "She brought it on herself. Don't blame me. You said you wouldn't let her bother me again. Seems like Mr. Lou can't even control his own wife." Sebastian relaxed with a smile, "Soon, she won't be my wife anymore. Eric's already divorced her. Do you really think she'll keep clinging to me?" Sebastian once defied his family to marry Wendy, but now he sounded like he barely cared about her anymore. Can time really change everything and everyone so completely? After hanging up, I didn't take Sebastian's words seriously. After all, whoever Wendy ends up with in the future is none of my concern. 14. To protect my pregnancy, I stayed home quietly. Except for necessary prenatal checkups, I rarely went out. When Wendy asked to meet, I firmly refused. But she gave me a reason I couldn't refuse. "Nicole, don't you want to know the truth about your parents' deaths?" Apparently, I was the only one kept in the dark about this truth. I cautiously chose a busy coffee shop for the meeting. Seeing her again, she was still beautiful, but her heavy makeup couldn't hide her exhaustion. And her flat belly. If she were still pregnant, even if fewer months than me, it would have shown by now. Following my gaze, she sneered, "Right, the baby's gone. Do you want to know how?" I stayed silent. What did it matter to me? Seeing my silence, she continued, "Killed by the baby's biological father, with his own hands." I frowned. No matter how wild Sebastian was, he never hit women, especially not his own child. Seeing my disbelief, Wendy laughed loudly. "You don't believe it?" Who'd believe the proud Sebastian would be abusive? Every time I caused you trouble, Sebastian would hit me once. Do you think only you suffered in these 10 years? Every bit of your pain was poured onto me, without exception. Even the child in my belly was lost after I went to the hospital looking for you that day. He pushed me and caused a miscarriage. Though I didn't understand why Sebastian would do such things, Wendy was the one who left me speechless. If that's the case, why come looking for trouble with me? Like reading my thoughts, Wendy's face twisted in rage. "I just don't want you to live well. Why should I suffer? I was supposed to marry Eric, but he married you. just because your parents died. Do you know how your parents died? Sebastian sabotaged Eric's car. He wanted Eric dead, but your parents became the scapegoats. You didn't know, did you? Sebastian had his eyes on you for a long time. He thought if Eric died, he'd have a chance with you. But Eric survived, and because of that life-saving debt, he got tied to you. Wendy laughed cruelly. Noble Nicole, even if all men like you, so what? They still killed your parents together. Nicole, who do you think is more pitiful, you or me? Ha ha ha. Wendy's words stirred up a storm in my heart. The sudden truth hit me unprepared. Though I had doubts about my parents' deaths, I never imagined it was so cruel, 100 times worse. The one who should have died that day was Eric. My parents died trying to save Eric, becoming his substitutes. And the killer was Sebastian, who grew up with us. Sebastian's motive for murder was me. In my parents' deaths, none of us, me, Sebastian, Eric, Wendy, were innocent. My breathing quickened. I clenched my fists so tightly my nails dug into my palms. This delayed truth was like a sharp sword piercing me, suffocating me. A sudden pain in my abdomen brought me back to focus. I bit my tongue hard, forcing myself to calm down. I still had a child to protect. Wendy watched me calm down with scorn. As expected of Nicole, staying so composed after hearing the truth. Seems your parents died for nothing. I stared hard at Wendy. Why didn't you say this before? Why tell me now? Her face twisted in anger. You think I wanted to watch you marry Eric? Your parents died. Eric said it was his responsibility, so he had to marry you. Sebastian heard I told Eric that day about what happened, and made me choose, marry him or die. I had to live, right? Being Mrs. Liu didn't sound bad. I thought Sebastian liked me, but every time we were in bed, he called your name. Nicole, how could I not hate you? You stole Eric and hold Sebastian's heart. You ruined my life. Tears streamed down Wendy's face, no dignity left. I spoke softly, Wendy, without you, Eric and I were going to get married. She glared at me with hate-filled eyes. Today, I finally understood why she hated me all these years. She laughed wildly. Nicole, do you really think without me, you'd be happy with Eric? Without me, it'd just be someone else. When a man's heart changes, it's nobody's fault. I calmly said, so all these years, you and Eric kept entangling, just to make sure I knew. Wendy broke down hysterically. Yeah, why am I the only one hurting? The man I love married you, the man I married only loves you. And you, knowing nothing, keep playing the noble lady, Mrs. Song. I tried so hard to keep this child, only to lose it. You deserve to die. You all deserve to die. Watching her spiral into madness, unease grew in my heart. I started to back away. I know what you want to say. I'm leaving now. When I stood, my whole body weakened and I collapsed back into the chair. Wendy taunted me. Nicole, you're really naive. You think I came here for a friendly chat? Before I lost consciousness, I realized I had seriously underestimated Wendy. Though I didn't drink the coffee in front of me, I was still poisoned. 15. I was kidnapped. When I woke up in the dimly lit room, I found myself tied to a chair. Why did Wendy kidnap me? Before I left, I was cautious and told Sabrina where I was going. I figured Sabrina must have contacted Eric by now. When a harsh light suddenly turned on, I couldn't open my eyes at first. Then I saw an empty factory and Wendy's smug face. I heard myself ask, what do you hope to gain from doing this? Wendy slapped me hard and sneered from above, Nicole, now that you're in my hands, you better behave. I might let you live longer. Blood trickled from my lip as I said coldly, if you wanted to kill me, you wouldn't have waited this long. Wendy was unfazed. Nicole, you're smart. Guess who I called first, Eric or Sebastian? I asked. Eric's treated you well all these years. What more do you want? Wendy looked at me with a hint of pity. Ha! If he loved me, why would he have divorced and refused to marry me? All these years, he answered my every request. But do you know who he was really looking at through me? Does it matter if I'm suffering? You don't understand anything, and you haven't gained a thing, right? How could I not understand? Eric's feelings for me were engraved deep inside. Even if he drifted away for a while, he'd always come back to his true love. But he no longer dared to love me, couldn't love me, and didn't deserve to love me. For 10 years, he hid a secret and I pretended to know nothing, slowly draining our love. We both waited for the day the truth would tear us apart. I don't want Eric anymore. And Eric won't be Wendy's either. Who is more pitiful, me or Wendy? I can't tell. But I know, in this mess, none of the four of us truly wins. I know Eric sees a reflection of me in Wendy. But proud as I am, I refuse to forgive Eric for even a moment of betrayal. After my parents died, I insisted on marrying Eric. From the start, I knew I was guilty. This marriage is a prison I willingly entered, and sentenced Eric to as well. I know Eric can't face me. I know why he secretly protects Wendy. How could I not know the bitter fruit I planted? If it weren't for this child, I might never forgive myself or find peace with the past. I closed my eyes, saving my strength. Waiting for the final judgment to come. 16. The person who came was Eric. Seeing me tied up, his face changed drastically. He stepped forward, but the dagger pressed against my cheek stopped him cold. Eric's voice trembled as he said to Wendy, "Let Nicole go. I'll agree to any condition you want." Wendy's face turned pale, like a ghost, giggling eerily. "Eric, will you marry me? If it weren't for Nicole, you should have married me 10 years ago. If I kill her, no one will stop us." Eric immediately said, "Fine. I'll marry you. Let her go. We'll get married right away." Wendy's hand trembled, and a thin line of blood appeared on my face. She was like a madwoman, screaming, "Liar. You're just trying to save Nicole. You never loved me. You refused to marry me back then. For years, you never touched me, and even after the divorce, you didn't want me. I'm just a shadow, a stand-in for Nicole. You openly favored me but secretly loved her. You wanted her to care, to be jealous of me. You tolerated me all these years, but she never reacted. Ha ha ha, she doesn't love you. She hasn't loved you for a long time." Wendy's words shattered Eric's stiff expression. He looked defeated and said quietly, "I'm sorry to her. Let her go. Let today's events be forgotten. You can still be Mrs. Liu." Hearing Mrs. Liu seemed to trigger something in Wendy. She went crazier. She pressed the dagger to my neck, and soon blood began to flow. Mrs. Liu, who knows what kind of life the glamorous Mrs. Liu really has? No love. No dignity. No name. Not even the only child left. I hate you. You made me love you and then reject me. I hate Sebastian, he married me but treated me like dirt. I hate all of you. You all deserve to die. The pain in my neck kept me still. No one dares to provoke a madwoman. If you hate me, kill me. I was the one who hurt you. If you want revenge, come at me." Sebastian's cold voice arrived. His handsome face was bloodshot, eyes dark, looking disheveled as he rushed in. "Use me to save Nicole. For years, I've been the one tormenting you." Wendy laughed bitterly, "Ha. Yes, you're the real culprit. But maybe it hurts you more if Nicole dies." Sebastian said gravely, "If Nicole dies, you won't survive either." Wendy's smile was tearful. "Is that so? I've long wanted to die. Before I go, taking the woman you love down with me isn't so bad." Eric calmly said, "Wendy, Nicole never wronged you. If you want revenge, don't take it out on her." Wendy's eyes turned fierce, and she pressed the dagger closer. "Nicole's innocent. What about me? Nicole introduced me to you. You didn't refuse me." Sebastian wanted to marry me. Why? Why am I the only one who suffers? I said calmly, Wendy, you feel pain, but I haven't gained anything either. I've chosen to let go. You can too. Wendy sneered, too late. Do you really think I'll be alive after today? At that moment, Sebastian punched Eric's face and shouted, You're the one who brought all this mess. If it weren't for you being fickle, none of this would have happened. You should have let Nicole marry me. Eric fought back angrily, dream on. Nicole will only be my wife. Don't think I don't know you've coveted Nicole since you were a kid. That's better than you, who tortured Nicole for so many years. Isn't Wendy the one you wanted to marry? Didn't you raise her ambitions? I married her to give Nicole peace of mind, but you got married and still can't behave. They exchanged blows fiercely, no holding back. Just as they fought like there was no tomorrow, Wendy dropped the dagger and screamed, Stop it, both of you. Then a bullet pierced Wendy's chest, and blood splattered all over my face. Before I lost consciousness, I thought I saw Eric and Sebastian running toward me. Is it over? 17. I woke up again in a hospital room. The air smelled strongly of disinfectant, and Eric was sitting by my bedside. When he saw I was awake, Eric quickly called the doctor to check on me. Only after confirming I was okay did he finally relax. My hand slowly reached toward my belly, and Eric immediately said, The baby's fine, but you had a miscarriage scare earlier. You'll need to stay in the hospital for observation. The baby's not yet 7 months along, so I was naturally worried. I took a sip of water Eric handed me, and my throat felt a little better. What about Wendy? I asked. Eric was silent for a moment before answering. She's dead. Sebastian called the police before he arrived. The sniper's shot hit her on the spot. I closed my eyes, a chill running through me. Wendy's death was probably not just because she kidnapped me, but also because she knew the truth. My voice was hoarse as I said. Wendy told me that night your car had been tampered with by Sebastian, which caused the brakes to fail. She overheard it, so that's why Sebastian married her. Eric's face suddenly changed, disbelief clear on him. Yes, though they didn't get along, they were brothers who grew up together. No one expected Sebastian to have once wanted him dead. Why were my parents in your car that night? I asked. Eric recalled painfully, then said. That day, Uncle and Aunt asked me to send Wendy away. I was young and stubborn, and I refused. I even said, I wanted to break off the engagement with you. Uncle got so angry he fell ill and took medicine. When they returned, I was worried and insisted they ride in my car. It's all my fault. They didn't have to die. The one who should have died was me. Eric broke down in tears, releasing 10 years of guilt and self-blame. I looked at Eric directly and said, Tampering with your car wouldn't leave no trace. Unless the evidence was covered up long ago, and whoever did it was someone closest to you. Eric suddenly went pale as if he realized something. The answer was obvious. It was the Fergusons, my parents. So, all these years of their care for me was not just because they liked me. There was also deep guilt. That's why the Ferguson Corporation's current standing relies not only on Eric's management but also on compensation from Sebastian's family. This world is far more rotten than I imagined. I looked seriously at Eric and said, Eric, the killer shouldn't go unpunished. My parents' deaths cannot be ignored. Eric's eyes showed guilt, regret, pain, and embarrassment. He nodded and said, I understand. Don't worry. Then he staggered away. 18. After Eric left that day, he didn't come back for a long time. In the hospital room, I heard news of a corporate clash. Ferguson's company was attacking Sebastian's. Both had deep roots, and their rivalry shook Jiangqing's economy. When the Fergusons visited me, I addressed them differently, Uncle, Aunt. That simple greeting brought tears to their eyes. Eric's mother cried as she said, Sweetie, it's Ferguson's fault. Years ago, the old man forced us to cover this up. We're just a small business, so. Seeing Eric's mother so broken, my heart felt twisted and tight like wrapped in wire. I spoke slowly. Auntie, if it had been Eric in that accident, would you have done the same? The two elders were silent. Of course not. If their only son had died, they would fight for justice, no matter what. Uncle, Auntie, if you're here to tell me to let it go, there's no need. Maybe you had your reasons back then, but I will seek justice for my parents, no matter the cost. Seeing the determination in my eyes, the Fergusons' faces changed several times but said nothing more. Before they left, they only said, "Sweetie, we've lived long enough not to fear anything. But when it comes to Sebastian's family, we worry about your safety." But what do I really fear? When I met Sebastian, he didn't refuse. When he came to the hospital, he wore that same careless smirk, saying nothing about Eric's recent moves. I pressed the recorder hidden in my blanket and asked, "You were the one who had Eric's car tampered with, causing my parents' deaths?" "Yeah," Sebastian answered without hesitation. "Why?" Sebastian's expression grew serious as he looked at me and said, "I wanted Eric dead. If he hurt you, why should he live? How did you do it?" "I paid the Ferguson family's driver, then sent him abroad." "Where is the driver now?" Sebastian was silent for a moment, then looked me straight in the eye and chuckled. "He came back yesterday." My breath caught. Sebastian's gaze was raw and burning, as if he saw right through me. He admitted it plainly, as if expecting my question. Sebastian sighed deeply. "Nicole, all these years, the one who grew up guarding you isn't just Eric. What kind of man is he, to be so unfaithful to you? All these years, I toyed with Wendy just to take it out on you. I wanted Eric dead, but I never expected your parents to die instead. I'm sorry. I wanted to protect you, but I ended up causing you pain. Nicole, I'm a terrible person. I know what you want, and I'll make it happen." After Sebastian left, his words echoed in my ears. Today, he dropped his old mask, and I saw a side of him I'd never known. Before leaving, he gave me a relieved smile, as if finally free. 19. I soon understood what he meant. When I handed the recorder to Eric, he told me that the driver had confessed. When the police arrested Sebastian, he didn't resist and fully admitted to his crimes. That recorder was extra evidence Sebastian had given me. But I knew that if he didn't want to be touched, no one could reach him. I wouldn't forgive him on my parents' behalf. Let the law take its course. Now that Wendy was dead, Sebastian was in prison, and Eric and I were divorced. Our story had finally come to an end. For the last 3 months, I stayed in the hospital preparing for the birth. During that time, Eric came every day after work, as if trying to make up for all the time he hadn't been there. No matter my complaints or cold looks, he accepted them all quietly. Julian came to see me a few times during this period. Eric almost got into a fight with him. After the scandal, Julian's career had been affected, so I avoided meeting him. Now that things had settled, he returned under the pretext of managing my assets. He was the child's father, so I didn't refuse his visits. Still, I slowly gathered my assets back and set up a trust for the unborn baby. This place, I had to leave it. On the day I gave birth, Eric, the Ferguson parents, and Julian waited outside the hospital room. The delivery wasn't easy, and only by the next night was my daughter safely born. Looking at the wrinkled little baby, I felt completely satisfied inside. It was good, I had family again. I named her Linanen. For this life, all I wished was for her to be safe and sound. The day after the baby was born, Julian proposed to me. I didn't accept. I knew how much I loved my child, but I also knew I didn't love Julian. I had once fought hard to hold on to a marriage for 10 years. Now, I refused to enter any binding relationship for reasons other than love. That would only bring more unhappiness. I loved my child, but first, I had to take responsibility for myself. Julian's smile dimmed when I turned down his proposal. He said he was my senior at Jiang University, and during the years I chased Eric, he was still the red rose in many boys' hearts there. Usually so confident, Julian was surprisingly shy when confessing his feelings. "Nicole, that night, I was so happy, I finally picked the red rose in my heart. But unfortunately, that rose still wasn't mine. Nicole, I hope you're happy. I will always take responsibility for the child." My luck didn't seem too bad, at least Julian was a good man. 20. The day I left Jiang City, the sky was clear with no clouds in sight. My mood was unexpectedly relaxed. Sabrina had no children of her own, and after all these years caring for me, she insisted on coming along when I left. At the airport, while waiting to go through security, I saw Eric rushing over. He spoke urgently, "Nicole, stay. Let's raise the child together. I will treat her as my own. I will be a good husband and father. We lost so many years, let me make it up to you, okay?" Looking at the man who had been part of my life for nearly 30 years, I felt a daze. All the love, hatred, jealousy, and anger had now turned to calm acceptance. So this is what letting go feels like. I said calmly, "Eric, I've let go of the past. For the future, take care of yourself." Eric, with red eyes, knelt and begged, "Anan, just look at me once more." I tried to give him a warm smile, then turned and walked away. When the plane took off and I felt the weightlessness, I thought of Eric's last question, "Will you come back?" Maybe. Maybe soon. Maybe never again.